said he called for multilateral verification. Ukraine's ambassador described those Russian claims as insane, the insane delirium of Putin and his henchmen, and said that Russia does not give a monkeys about the safety of its own citizens, including the thousands of decomposing bodies of Russian soldiers. With each council meeting, the Russian discourse really does get more alarming. British Ambassador Barbara Woodward said that she would put it diplomatically that the claims are utter nonsense. Really does get more alarming.
And that's our Jessica Lemessurier reporting from UN headquarters in New York. Members of the European Union met this Thursday and Friday here in France to discuss the crisis in Ukraine. Leaders said the bloc is ready to impose even harsher economic sanctions on Russia and might give Ukraine more money for arms. But they stopped short of allowing Ukraine a fast track to join the EU, a process that normally takes years. Here's the French president speaking earlier.
Europe is already feeling the effects of this war on food production, and it will be even more affected in the coming 12 to 18 months because of all the crops that can't be planted right now. Europe and Africa will be deeply destabilized in terms of food security, so we need to prepare ourselves and reevaluate our production strategies.
With Russia under some bruising economic sanctions, prices for natural gas are on the rise across the globe. That's especially true in Italy, where imports account for nearly 95% of its gas. The country is also dependent on Russia for its supply. Selena Sykes has that story.
In the centre of Rome, thousands of people were recently demonstrating against the war in Ukraine. Many people fear the economic impact of the conflict. More than 40% of the gas used in Italy comes from Russia, and already the Italians are experiencing a dramatic increase in energy costs.
My last gas bill was €170, €100 more. This is a huge blow for us.
Petrol is prohibitively expensive, and gas as well. And the cost of staple goods is increasing too.
It's very worrying that we depend almost entirely on only one source. We need to diversify our energy suppliers.
A need understood by the government, who want to develop the use of gas pipelines, like this one, that runs from Algeria to Sicily, and supplies 25% of the gas used in Italy. Additionally, increase the quantity of gas arriving by sea from countries like Qatar or the USA. The gas is transported in liquid form in these tankers, but it's not that simple to increase these gas imports.
Qatar is one of the biggest producers of liquefied gas in the world, and it sells to the biggest importer of that type of gas in the world, Japan. It's obvious that if Italy requests an increase in volume, Qatar could ask for compensation for diverting some of its gas. These are the dynamics of commerce, but this is all done within the framework of international political agreements.
In order to fill the potential gas shortfall, the government is also looking at delaying the closure of coal-fired power stations, like this one about 60 kilometres north of Rome, an outcome that concerns environmentalists.
This power station was supposed to shut down definitively in 2025. If it goes back to working at full capacity, it'll produce more than 10 million tons of CO2. It would become the most polluting site in Italy and the 14th in Europe. Today, Italy is already paying for the delay in the construction of renewable energy sources.
Italy only produces 3 of the 80 billion cubic metres of gas used every year in the country. According to estimations, it would have to reduce its energy needs by at least 10% to no longer depend on Russian gas.
U.S. President Joe Biden has proposed new sanctions against Russia. He said that the U.S. would join the European Union in suspending normal trade with Moscow. The move would raise tariffs on Russian goods and prevent Moscow from borrowing from the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. Some of the measures must be approved by Congress. Our Washington correspondent Ketevan Gorjestani explains.
The main one and the one that's getting the most attention is that revocation of the most favored nation status along with the U.S.'s ally. And as you said, this has to actually go through Congress. And it's really something that Congress wanted to do already last week. And the president made some remarks about this, saying that he had asked Congress to hold off on that trade sanction, if you will, because he wanted to align himself with the European allies and to sort of announce all of that together as one. And that's why the Congress didn't go ahead with that trade sanction and will now be doing it next week when they come back into session. So there is a really bipartisan support there, and it's supposedly going to go through pretty quickly. You also mentioned that suspension from being allowed to borrow from the IMF or the World Bank. There's also some measures that the president has taken himself, which is a ban on exports and imports. So the ban on imports of Russian signature goods, that's alcohol, seafood, for example, Russian caviar, diamonds, things like that, which are estimated to be about a $1 billion hit to the Russian economy. There's also going to be a ban on U.S. exports to Russia of certain luxury goods. The goal there, says the president, is to prevent those luxury goods from being bought by those Russian elites that are being targeted. And talking about targeting Russian elites, there's a new round of sanctions, a new, if you will, new names added to the list of Russian elites that are being targeted. The board members of VTB Bank, that bank had already been sanctions. 12 members of the Duma, that's Russia's parliament, as well as 3 direct family members of the Kremlin spokesperson, Dmitry Peskov. So really the U.S. Showing every few days with their allies that they have more sanctions in their pocket, and they're going to keep installing them, keep imposing them as long as Russia keeps attacking Ukraine.
That's our Ketevan Gorgistani reporting from Washington. Well, for its part, China has not taken a clear public position on the conflict. However, it has not condemned Vladimir Putin's actions, and it has said it's against sanctions. Earlier, we were joined by Jean-François de Meglio, president of the Asia Center think tank, and I began by asking him what China stands to lose when it comes to global sanctions.
Well, as you said, China is not taking any sanctions against Russia, but probably there are restrictions already on some trade between China and Russia. And first of all, the fact that the Russian economy is slowing down already had an impact, as we can see, on some trade between China and Russia, especially on some digital trades, especially on phones, for example. Huawei is a big seller of phones to Russia, and already there is a slowdown in trade between Russia and China on those items. Otherwise, we have also to remember that Ukraine is also a partner to China, and China has many interests in Ukraine, and it's not in China's interest to see Ukraine totally destroyed by Russia if Russia indeed invades and destroys Ukraine, as it seems to be intending now.
Well, Xi Jinping has called Vladimir Putin his closest foreign colleague and best confidant, but he has to walk a fine line here when it comes to sanctions, doesn't he?
Yes, that's exactly the point, because Xi Jinping indeed signed a very important agreement with Putin on the 4th of February when the Winter Olympics started, but also he had to maintain a very close line of communication with Europe. And as you know, 2 days ago, Xi Jinping had a conversation with European leaders, because obviously if indeed Russia is an important trade partner to China, of course the major trade partner to China still is European Union, and that is very important. On top of that, big project by China is currently the Belt and Road Initiative, and to reach Europe, you have to cross Russia, of course, but more importantly, probably Poland and other countries in Eastern Europe. So if Russia is cut off from those countries, this is the whole Belt and Road Initiative which is at stake.
If we look at the situation right now, has China been able to help ease the pain of the sanctions against Russia?
Well, it's imbalanced because, of course, the trade between Russia and European Union is much more important than to China. And even though Russia is selling gas to China, it's selling much more gas to European Union. So in no way, at least instantly, could China replace European Union as a trade partner to Russia.
That was Jean-Francois Demiglio, president of the Asia Center think tank, speaking to us earlier. Well, a well-known Saudi blogger and activist has been released from prison. Rayif Badawi was set free after spending 10 years behind bars. Joseph Keane has more.
A symbol of free speech in Saudi Arabia and across the world. After 10 years in jail and 50 lashes, Rayif Badawi has finally won his freedom. Imprisoned on charges of insulting Islam and cybercrime in the Gulf Kingdom, he was locked up in 2012. In his blog, the 38-year-old activist had criticized the conservative state's Matawa religious police, a task force responsible for ensuring compliance with Islamic law. But his arrest led to international outcry and protests across the world. Badawi received his first whipping in January 2015, a penalty described by the United Nations as cruel and inhumane. Saudi Arabia would later abolish flogging in 2020. The conditions of Badawi's release are currently unclear, but he could be facing a 10-year ban on foreign travel. Canadian lawmakers have already granted him citizenship if he can leave. His wife and 3 children are currently living in the country.
And that's it for now. Stay tuned for more world news here on France 24.
Breaking news on France 24 and France24.com.
Join us every day here on France 24 for the last stretch of the presidential race, the mother of all election, the presidential election. This is the time for the French to choose their president. We'll have all our special envoys on the campaign trail across the globe, the latest analysis, the best polls. Join us here on France 24.
France 2022, the campaign on France 24 and France24.com.
Russia broadens its offensive in Ukraine, shelling previously untargeted areas in the west of the country, while its troops redeploy north of the capital, Kyiv. As the war enters its 3rd week now, the number of refugees continues to swell. Some 2.5 million Ukrainians now reported to have fled the country. And the U.S. accuses Russia of using the UN Security Council to spread disinformation about chemical weapons in Ukraine. Stay tuned for live reporting from our Washington correspondent. We're watching France 24. Thanks for joining us here in the newsroom. I'm Claire Rush. Well, Russia's offensive in Ukraine is widening. On Friday, the Russian Defense Ministry announced it had struck 2 airfields in Lutsk and Ivano-Frankivsk, locations in western Ukraine far from the war's major battlegrounds. Well, the eastern city of Dnipro, a key industrial hub,
And let's update this so I can get the chat over here. What state are you in? Jail keeper. Boom. Just like that. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And you believe him. Glitch, you're 10 seconds away from being gone. So be real or be gone. So starting to gather what's the top 10 items. That's a ridiculous list. I'm sorry. I'm not making fun of you. What I'm trying to tell you is that if you go to any one of, you can go to this. Hold on, I got a really crappy angle here. If you go to any of the YouTubers, they'll give you this list of the top 10 items of stuff to get. And 90% of the time, they're Amazon links, okay? Glitch, you're breaking my balls here, Glitch. All right. There's always one, guys. There's always one. What in the hell? That was weird. Here we go. TikTok on PC changed. The hell? That was weird. I just fixed that. All right, now, hopefully we can get back to this. All right, so here's what you do. There's no top 10 things. All right, listen. Go and buy canned goods, vegetables, meat, okay? Go buy dry goods, pastas, and then store water. Start with that. Think about what you need to get through a whole week, okay? Do those numbers up and find out how much you're supposed to have. For instance, if there's 3 people in your family, that's no less than 3 gallons a day of water. And then for a week, so 7 times 3, that's 21 gallons of water. Yes, it starts to stack up. It starts to get big. It starts to be more than what you think it is, okay? But you can't go more than 3 days without water. So those are the important things. And then after that, start building up. Maybe you need some pew-pew stuff. You know, maybe you need to have some food items that the roaming prepper. Wow. Hey, thanks for showing up, man. I appreciate it. I love it. And start with those very basic things because those are the things that are going to keep you alive. Okay. Then you might want to start thinking about mobility. And that sounds off track, but it's not. And here's why. So people like, well, I'm going to go get this. You can go to like Home Depot, Tractor Supply, and pretty much any local hardware store. And you can buy yourself a 55-gallon drum. They're normally made of plastic or a brand new pickling barrel. Excuse me. And they think they're going to fill that with the water, and then they're going to be all set. And then they didn't think about how they're going to get the water out of it. They start to have problems. Well, also you're going to have a problem with mobility. Let's say you want to go someplace. Well, you're going to need to take some of that water with you. You're definitely going to. How do we do that? Well, we don't do that in a 55-gallon drum. We do that with 5 or 6 gallon containers that you can buy at Walmart. Don't buy the gray ones. They're crap. Buy the blue ones. They have their own spigot, and they won't snap off. They won't break. Okay? So I'm kind of curious how many people are actually in. Are you muted? Okay, I see you. I got you, Megan. I'm fixed, and that chat is now on. But I don't get to see that. I'm going to pop that out real quick. I'm going to pop that chat out, and I'm going to move that over here someplace where I can see it. Let's see here. So if you are chatting on YouTube, I can see that now. Thank you very much, Megan. All right. So what's going on? Is something bad going to happen? Well, yeah, Wolf. I mean, have you been watching the news, man? I mean, Okay. So let's see. Have you noticed the price of gas? Have you realized that that's going to cut into the amount of money that you get to spend on food? Have you noticed the price of food? Have you noticed that's going to cut in on your ability to spend your paycheck? Okay, so let's that's what we're talking about, Wolf. These things are all wrapped together. So you're just literally getting squeezed in every direction. And what happens is people, one day, so I went and bought like 3 bags of Walmart food today. And I was able to get it for like about $20. And what did I get? I got like a couple of the fancy ramen noodles. I got like a 67 cents peach drink made by Walmart. I got me a Red Bull. Let's see, what else did I get here? I got a couple of cans of Chef Boyardee raviolis. Yeah, that's what I'm eating now. That's what I'm eating now because where I am, I don't have a lot of capabilities. But the reality is I spent like $20 on what was 6 months ago $10 worth of food. Right now, yes, I am on YouTube. If you look for the local prepper, it's the same exact logo. It's a white circle. Better yet, if you go to the link in my bio, and then that'll take you to my own personal page. Hey, what's going on, Doomsday? Good to see you, man. You're early, finally. You're early for once. If you go to the link in my bio, they'll look for the YouTube page. You can click on that, and you'll be able to see the cyber threat map that's playing up right now. I also have actually a pretty something called ADSB exchange. It shows you where military aircraft are operating around the world. And it's not like that monkey dude. I don't like what he is doing whatsoever. But you can actually see the different planes and where they're moving on the Ukrainian border. Anyway, what do we got here? We got split peas. I'm going to read that down. We got split peas, beans. You got bats. No, that's just something on my screen. No, that's oats. There you go. All free because food bank people don't want it. That is wow. That is actually pretty. I'm just going to call you Creek Farm, Maloney Creek Farm. I'm going to call you Maloney. That's freaking awesome. I have thought about signing up for the food bank. I'm retired. I live on a fixed income, and it is starting to get a little crazy. I've actually thought about signing up for the food banks, but I feel bad because I think that I can make it on less than most can, which is really good for me. I mean, it's not. I'm not like touting or anything, but I'm saying I can easily. You got a buddy at the food bank. Well, there you go. Well, think about what you need, and then maybe send that to some church or something. You know. Where are we at here? Gamely, $1 actually raised their prices to $1.25. I don't know what that is. I don't know what Gamely is, bro. Thanks Doomsday for sharing the live feed. Let's see here. Hoots run, brother. Be safe out. They got to go. All right. Talk to you later, Roaming. Let's see. But yeah, I'd actually thought about doing it just to family. Oh, you're talking about Family Dollar? No, Family $1. I still don't know what you're talking about, Andrew, but I appreciate it. The only thing I know about that even resembles that is the Dollar Tree. What's up, Deuce boys? Oh yeah, I remember you, man. What's going on? They throw it out if I don't take it. Yeah, definitely. Hey, listen, man. If they're gonna throw food out, you consume it and you can store it. You know, and if you can store the stuff that they're throwing out, more power to you. You know, it's like anything in life. I got a catchphrase to call it. If it's free, it's for me. Time to drink something. Got a little tickle in my throat the last few days. No fever or anything like that, but yeah. Dry can adult. There you go. Matter of fact, I just got one of those dry can adapters for my food saver the other day. On point. I love it. Absolutely love it. Okay, so back to what we were talking about. So like I was talking about with the water bottle, the water jugs, you want to get those. They're only about $20, and you can put them in your car and take them with you. So do that. And there's nothing wrong with you doing the 55-gallon drum thing for water, but you know you got to make sure that that you properly sanitize it. You know what I'm saying? Find out how much bleach it's actually going to take to do that amount, and then do it properly. Do you think there's a real possibility of this war in Ukraine turning into World War III? India. Yes, there is a possibility of that. Okay. So that's kind of a hot button issue, and let's talk about that. What's going to happen? Okay, Craig. So I can't tell you exactly what's going to happen, but I can tell you the nuances if you guys haven't figured out about it. If you haven't heard about the whole jet thing, hey, I just subbed over here too, bro. Hey, I appreciate it, Rummy. I think I'm already subscribed to you someplace, but I'll definitely have to look for you. So the whole legacy Soviet era jets that Poland was trying to give Ukraine. Well, the U.S. bought off on it, so that tells me that the U.S. threw some money at Poland. And now it's all a bit gigantic game of hot potato. So I'm sure at some point the Russians have contacted Poland and said, listen, guys, you're on our border. We don't really appreciate what you're doing here. So, yeah, if you decide you want to give those over to them, we're going to consider what you're doing an act of war. Melanie, I don't know what that is, but thank you very much. Poland's probably like, whoa, take a chill pill, guy, man. We're just trying to help some friends out. And Russia's probably like, well, you're a big boy. You make your own decisions. So now, although the U.S. has said, hey, good job, and Poland has said, we want to help, now it's a big hot potato game because however those jets, whose fingerprints are on those jets when they go into the Ukrainian Air Force are the people that the Russians will target or have said that they will target. Everything is all a big threat game right now. And people are worried. If you've never dealt with crazy people before, yeah, they're unpredictable. And that's the way they're dealing with Putin right now. So it's something to really think about as far as how things are working in the geopolitical world, you know. Putin has already said these sanctions are an act of war. Yeah, he said that last week and nothing's happened to anybody. So here's the thing. Every time he says this is an act of war or you'll be seen as this or we're going to do that, and then he doesn't do it, then he's just that guy that's screaming on the corner going, now the problem is he has those nuclear weapons. That's always his fallback, is always his fail-safe. If you really want to talk about that particular thing, there are certain indicators that you would normally see. If you're from the Cold War era, you probably know what I'm talking about, but there's a good chance because it's an old subject that you may not. There's still a few things that have not happened yet that indicate the possibility of nuclear weapons being used. Let's see. One of them is that Russia has, for their missile command, they have different levels of readiness. They still have one more level of readiness because the fuel that they use in their ICBMs it's caustic and it's not good for anybody to be around. So they don't keep it inside of those intercontinental ballistic missiles. They keep it in storage tanks near them. So if you ever watch SpaceX, like when they're fueling up, the old Dragon, well, that's the same exact thing that we would be able to see. That's how we monitor whether they're changing their readiness. So they start seeing, plumes, chemical plumes coming from vents that are near specific sites that they know are already identified as ICBM sites. Then they know that they're fueling the missiles. They know how long it takes to fuel those missiles and whether they'll use them or not. Now, they can defuel them just as quick as they can refuel them. It takes about half an hour. So those are the kind of things that we would look for. Also, if Putin were to go into hiding or stop talking, whenever an organization stops talking, they're done. They have already decided what they're going to do, and they are ready to move on to that thing. Let's see. Russia and Ukraine are both bad, but we are being misled by the media, misinformation, and propaganda. Oh, Crossroads, absolutely 100%. They have biowarfare facilities. No, they don't. Yes, they do. No, they don't. The media has been telling us no since the day that rumor started a week ago. Okay, and come to find out, they're there. 2 weeks ago, somebody said that in one of these chats, and they're like, "Oh, there's bioweapons development centers in Ukraine." He's like showing a map, and I'm like, "Whatever, dude." Comes to find out, there's a couple there. The map is completely fictitious, but there are a couple there supposedly. But the media to this day are still saying aren't there, even though the Congress has already done a very quick investigation and got that information out to us saying that yes, it's there. It's stupid, man. Where we got It's never too late. I don't know what that means. Let's see here. What about the $600 million arms deal we made with them 3 years ago? Partially delivered. Are you talking about, Melanie, are you talking about to Ukraine? I know that we gave them, we gave some anti-tank missiles to them. That was the whole, one president gives them blankets, the other one gives them, anti-tank missiles. The real stink in Ukraine is that there's well, actually it's not. So we have a treaty with Ukraine, and Ukraine has a treaty with several other countries within the area. Some years back, Ukraine had their own nuclear weapons. And in order to the whole getting rid of countries that have nuclear weapons to make the world safer, what they did was they said, let's have a treaty with you guys, and in that treaty, if you get rid of your nuclear weapons, we'll protect you. We'll help you and we'll protect you. And they're like, sounds great. Now we don't have to worry about nuclear weapons, and we got all these friends that are going to help us. And so if you remember, was it 2008 and then 2014, the whole Belarus stuff? Yeah, nobody helped them. Obama didn't help them. He sent them blankets, even though we have a treaty with them saying we're supposed to help you. Now, it doesn't say that we have to go in full force militarily. It doesn't say that we're going to strike anybody or just start blowing stuff up willy-nilly. It just says that we're going to help them. So it's always been a real problem, Let's see here. That's an issue. That's a true issue. Let me go back to my notes over here because I know I got shit to talk about. And if there's something else that you guys want to talk to, let me know in the chat, and I'll move on to that. Otherwise, I'll just stick to my notes. I work somewhere. Okay. Let's see. Sounds like Indian treaties. Yeah, it does a lot, actually. Well, that's all right. Did you guys hear about the hypersonic missile that got launched out of, I think, Pakistan into India? Was it day before yesterday? Yeah, that didn't make the news at all. Those are two. No one ever talks about those guys, but that's two countries that have nuclear weapons that have basically there have been times where the U.S. has evacuated their embassies in both countries because of the threat of a nuclear exchange between those two. Any good tips with getting prepared with small children? I feel like I am, but I question it. Okay, so essential. Long ass names. I'm just gonna call you essential. You're essential to those children's lives. That's for sure. All right. First things first. Essential. How many kids and how old are they? That's what I need to know. And while she's typing that, yeah, and animals. Okay. User prison name 6651865483339. I love saying that. Come on. Make a name, user. I mean, it's not a big deal, but I always think it's funny. You got two kids, ages 5 and 3. Okay, Dynamite. So they're not toddlers. That's awesome. So the 3-year-old will definitely need to be able to have the ability to be carried from time to time. The 5-year-old, well, that kid's on his own. His or she or her, wherever. What do we got here? Two kids, 8 years old, 9 years old. They're on their own. And 2 dogs. All right, so here's the general rule. If the kid is old enough if you would take your child and say, go play in the backyard. Back in my day, it was just go play someplace. Come back when the streetlights came on. But anyway, if you would tell your kid just to go play in the backyard, most likely, and I mean, not even watch them, you know what I'm saying? Most likely, they're large enough and strong enough to carry their own bug-out bag. Now, what's going to be in that bug-out bag? Very essential stuff. Maybe a bottle of water, socks, a change of clothes, things that would fill the bag, but generally be light. Where are we at here? The 3-year-old, that's questionable. Maybe you could get a symbolic bug-out bag and maybe just put snacks in it. You know what I'm saying? But make sure that they have at least one change of clothes. They basically need the equivalent of a 72-hour bag. And that's how you should prep for them too. Specifically, hey, what's up, Flu? Good to see you. So they basically need their own bug out bag, and it needs to be the equivalent of no more than 20% of their body weight. Their bones are flexible, and you don't want to jack them up too early. So do that, and then start thinking about the kinds of foods that they eat, and specifically with kids, you could pretty much feed them whatever you're eating. You know, if I open up a can of beans or whatever, I'm going to eat some for me, some for you, some for me, some for you. You know what I'm saying? And they're going to fill up before you fill up. So that's some simpler ways that you can go about thinking about food. Food that makes them happy. Okay, lollipops, suckers, pieces of candy. You know, there may be a time where you need them to shut their mouths and just make no noise. And there's nothing that will shut them up quicker than a piece of their favorite candy. So think of that. You know, you can go to the Dollar Tree and buy these little bags of candy, and they even have the sugar-free stuff, which isn't great for their guts. But you know, if that's what you're thinking about, then you can do that too. Let's see what else about kids. Pay attention to their shoe sizes. Once they start, you know, I'm seeing right now you've got 8 and 9-year-old. The 8 and 9-year-olds, you're going to see as mom and dad, you're going to start, well, mom more. You're going to start seeing that they're going to start growing like beans. So you might want to start thinking about the next shoe size up. Okay. And then if they don't use them, then you already have them. You see what I'm saying? So you might want to think about that. Let's see. What else for kids? I'm running out of things for kids because kids are humans and, well, yeah. I mean, unless you're talking about diapers, maybe you need some of those. There's a thought. So what's happening with Russia? We were just talking about that, Flu, but we'll talk about it some more as soon as I finish with this. So let's stop with the kids. Now let's talk about the dogs, because Fro420710 has 2 kids and 2 dogs. So you can buy packs. Dogs should be carrying. You're welcome, Flu. Dogs should be carrying their own weight. Okay. So I do some long range hikes from time to time, and what I actually have a backpack for my dog, and it's more like, they look more like saddlebags. If you look like at REI or like they'll sell them at like PetSmart, and that's actually the fastest place to find them. But if you can order them, it's even better. They don't have to be super high quality. They just have to function. I think it's like Rough and Tough or Tough Rough or something like that. It's like a tough dog entendre in the name, but I can't remember the name of it. But basically, they're like saddlebags for a dog. They put them on, they got a handle in the back, and they can be up to a good size, you know. But the dog should carry their own weight. So when we go hiking, my dog carries its own water and its own food, and I have these 2 little bowls that they're like Expando bowls. You can buy those, and one is blue for food and one's green for water, because I never have time to wash the damn things out, and I know that the food won't contaminate water, so on and so forth. However you want to do it is fine, but they're reasonably lightweight. And water comes in bottles, so just buy a couple of the large bottles, put one on each side, you know. And then the dog food, you can just put dog food, estimate how much dog food that you need for 3 days, and then put them in different bags that you can even out on each side of the saddlebags, or his pack, or the dog's pack. The only thing my dog doesn't carry is the bed. I have a blow-up bed for the dog to sleep on. Let's see. I'm trying to think about. Another thing you can think about too is I keep the Walmart for my dog. I will keep a couple of the Walmart brand grape, because my dog likes grape. They're sugar-free water flavorings. They normally come in like a little box of like 10. Inside of little plastic sleeves, they're designed to pour into a water bottle. Sometimes when dogs start to get too tired, or their stomach is upset, or they're just in a general state of malaise, or they're exhausted, they will stop doing everything. All they want to do is lay around. So what I'll do is I'll just sprinkle a little bit of that grape drink in its water, mix it up, and then next thing you know, the dog's drinking, and now you keep the dog from getting dehydrated. Now you can use that trick on your kids too, believe it or not. Let's see. Okay, well, I'm glad I could help, Essential. And I can't think of anything else for dogs or kids right off the top of my, I mean, obviously you need a few extra things inside your first aid kit for your kids. But things, I don't know, like Neosporin, lip balm, smaller Band-Aids, things like that. Nothing serious. So, yeah, meds. Oh, you guys don't want to get me started on meds because I don't want to turn this into an infomercial, but I am ecstatic. All right, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. All right, so, have you guys seen these before? Have you guys seen this before? That's backward. It's Jace. Have you seen that before? YouTube. Somebody say yes, no, maybe so, and then if you want to talk about it, we will. I can't really do a lot with it, okay, but I can talk a little bit about it because yeah, I'm an affiliate with these guys now. Solid, 100% solid product. So dissatisfied with it. It came here super duper fast. It's amazing. MD. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look up what Hieronymus means. But no, this is Jace Medical. Now Jace Medical, they specialize in one thing: antibiotics. Hold on a second. Let me show you what's inside of this thing. So let's see. This right here, where are we at here? Emergency Antibiotics Guide. And it's got a little bit, I'm sorry, there we go. And it's got like, hold on a second. Where are we at here? Pneumonia, traveler's diarrhea. What's ciprofloxacin good for? It's good for anthrax. Where are we at here? What's doxycycline good for? It starts to list all these things off. And then this is what the erythromycin comes in. Now, these things are all prescriptions, but they take care of you, and you never once talk to anybody. You just use you go on their website, you tell them, there's only supposed to be 4 in here. They gave me 5, and I don't know why. I haven't even looked at it. This thing literally came in the mail today. I just got this really, I don't know how long I'm going to stay online. Looks like I've only got 10% of my data remaining. I must be chugging it right now. I may have to shut the old YouTube off. Penicillin. You know what? Let me check. I actually think it's got all the high-end stuff. Penicillin is very generic. That's doxycycline. And I have to be careful here because these are actual, like, real prescriptions. They have my name on them. Metronidoxide. What do we got here? This is amoxicillin. I guess that's amoxicillin. And what do we got here? Doxycycline. And this one is, where are we at here? I think that's Cipro. Cipro. Ciprofloxa niacin. And then obviously the one that was in the back. Hold on, let me crack this open here. The one that was in the back, and that one is azithromycin. So solid kit. In the beginning, no joke, the first time I saw this kit online, someone was trying to sell it, and I instantly looked it up because we never think about antibiotics. We never think about antibiotics. And so I was just like, no, I was looking at the price. So the price is $254.95, I believe. And I was like, you know what? I'm one of those guys that I'll just look it up, and I will, do they have EpiPens as an option? No, I have not seen that. But we should definitely talk about that. Matter of fact, let me put that on my notes because EpiPen, because I want to talk about that. So, all right, YouTubers, I'm going to have to, let's see. Oh, Jagular, I'm sorry, man, and Pineapple. I'm running everything through my phone right now, and I literally just got a message saying that I am just chugging too much data. So I have to kill the YouTube. I'm sorry. Go over to TikTok and we can go from there. All right, YouTubers, thanks for watching. Here's a quick shot of the airplanes doing stuff. There's Ukraine, nothing's flying over there. Those are all military planes. And we're going to go ahead and kill that feed real quick, guys, because like I said, it is just chewing up my data.